Morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us. We'll give people a few minutes probably to kind of trickle in before we kick off. But welcome to jump in with questions. There's also a Q&A function in Teams here, so that should be up the top. You can ask a question there, or you can unmute yourself and ask a question. We'll also have some time for questions at the end, but feel free to ask them as we go. We'll probably just wait till, yeah, a few minutes after 8 just to let everyone join in, and then we'll kick off with Tim presenting.
Oh, Jesse,
Sorry.
I'll kick off.
Yep, sounds good.
Yeah, we thought we'd give you a bit of an update on what's coming in the near future. So a bit of recap on some of the existing products you might be wanting to use in the near future. As you know, we run these sessions around every month, just to give you an update of where things are at. So keep an eye out on your email and social posts for upcoming webinars. A couple of things we wanted to cover off today, and Jess can chime in as well. For those that haven't met Jess, Jess is our customer success manager. So if you do have any issues at all, or things, questions, or you want to do a demo, Jess is more than happy to cover off on that, and we'll share a link at the end that you can book some time. The things we're going to cover today is our new digital agronomist, and so it's like a personal assistant for you. His name's Jonesy, and I'll explain a bit about that in a minute. It's going to be built into the platform, and in the coming months, we'll also release an app, so you'll be able to have an app on your phone, and also this will be embedded in our general platform as you use it. The second thing I wanted to cover off on is disease risk alerting. This is some work we've been doing with GRDC over the last 3 years, and we're now ready to launch this in beta testing mode to the market. So I'll go into the details on that, but this is really about around favourable infection conditions for foliar diseases in cereals, particularly at the moment. And the third thing is just a quick cover off on prescription maps again. If you haven't done it before, what's this? The simple steps to actually create a prescription map, and most growers are doing this in under a few minutes. So I'll show you that briefly as well. And if you have anything else you want to cover off on, feel free to throw it in the chat or Q&A, and we'll be great to answer those questions as we go. So first up, Jonesy. So we've had a lot of feedback over the last 9 years, and we actually turned 9 years old today or tomorrow. So it's very exciting for Peter and I to have a milestone like that we've come so far in that time. But one thing we've seen over the years is people will look at the data and not really sure what to do next. This is why Jonesy was created. And, with the fast pace of technology, now's the right time to bring this sort of technology into market. Jonesy is actually based on a real person. So back in the day, Mike Jones was an agronomist at Dolby here. He was sort of instrumental in our starting point. So we thought no better person to name the app after Jonesy. So thanks to Mike for his support over the years, and hopefully he's happy with the naming. But you'll notice Jonesy will appear as a little icon. If you look at the top right there, you'll see there'll be a little icon that you'll be able to access that. Now, really, it's it's really bringing all of our expertise that we've learned over the years and helping train the technology to give you real practical sort of guidance when you have those questions. So we know that all parts of the season you're going to have different questions about things. And so that it's really designed to be reactive about what problems you're trying to solve at the time. It's very much embedded in our platform, like I said, and also an app coming. But it's really about farm specific information as well. So, if you have an image of a paddock and you're not sure what it's saying, helping to interpret what that image means. And a lot of people really sort of struggle with that getting started point, and that's what it's really about. It does lead into quite sophisticated, I guess, answering of questions as well. And as we build the tool out, it'll get more and more sophisticated. But we're looking at all factors of our of our system. So all parts of the growing cycle, from pre-seeding, soil testing, in-crop management, and harvest management. So it will build out as we go along. It will be relevant to the property that you're on, which is, I think, a really big difference. So that it's got context, it knows where it is, and sort of problems you're trying to solve. So watch out for that. It's not released yet, but it's coming soon. So keep an eye out for that. Next thing, like I mentioned, we've been working on disease risk alerting. This is part of a broader project with GRDC where we're trying to help growers and agronomists get early notifications of disease, but also be able to detect it in satellite imagery. Now, we're still working through the detection in the satellite imagery, particularly using hyperspectral imaging, which is giving us a lot more bands of light, which should hopefully be able to inform us of potential disease outbreaks. And we've made tremendous progress in that area in the last 3 years. It's still a lot more work to do in that space, but we're close to also releasing some tools this year for our early adopters of the tech to look at which parts of the field might have disease outbreaks. While we're building that, though, we've been developing this risk alerting. So what it does is basically looks at the next 7 days weather conditions. We've got disease models that fit over the top of that. So what are the conditions that are likely to lead to a disease infection? So that doesn't. There's two things that doesn't account for. Obviously, one is it present in the environment? Are there spores present in the environment? We can't tell you that. And also, you might have managed your disease risk by planting a tolerant variety or have already sprayed. So it doesn't know about those yet unless in the future, we put that information in. But at the moment, what we're doing is just giving you an update, or like a heads up, whether the next 7 days are going to be favourable for disease infection. So that's really important. It's the infection period. There's also then obviously the whole development in the plant infection period as well. So as the disease, and of course that's different for each disease. So you need to keep that in mind when you look at this. This is at the point of infection, not as it progresses. So some diseases may take up to 21 days to express, and some are quite quick, like less than 7 days. So keep that in mind as we go, but that information is actually embedded in this tool. Obviously, the earlier you're aware of these things, the more monitoring you can do, and then looking at what does my spraying look like? If I've got 3,000 hectares to spray, how am I going to manage that? And so we've included a spray window tool, next 7 days sort of spray window tool as well, and I'll show you that in a minute. And of course, the main aim here is that it's fitting into your existing workflow. It's embedded in our platform. So let's have a look at what this looks like. So you can do this, access this by the Jonesy icon down the bottom. You can click on the activities, and you'll notice that you can either search for a farm or a task, and you can also filter. So you can actually start looking at which farms are your highest priority, or which areas might have disease. What's the highest priority? So it's alerting, it's going to send you alerts if we do detect high disease risk for each particular farm. And this is important. Obviously, if you're an agronomist, you might have 15 to 20 clients. Therefore, you've got a lot of farms to monitor. So we're trying to make this easy so that you can help filter through what the highest priorities might be. You can then click through to get a more detailed look of that alert. And we'll build this tool out over time, obviously, but this is the starting point. Down the bottom in Jonesy, you can actually do farm chats, general chats. So if you've got general agronomy questions, it will help you out there. Your notifications and the disease and spray window tabs are all included. So it's a pretty simple app to use. You can create new chats. You can look at your existing chats. So it will store questions you've had in the past, so you can recall that information. And then it will be giving you these alerts as well. There's no questions, Jess?
No, all good at the moment.
When we click through to the next tab, this is where you can select your crop type. At the moment, as part of the disease project with GRDC, we've only dealing with wheat and barley at the moment, but obviously there's a big opportunity to expand that into other crops. It will let you know what the earliest spray window is and the sort of timing of that. It then looks at, depending on the crop type, we've covered off on 5 diseases so far with wheat and barley. So blotch, scald, septoria, leaf rust, stripe rust. And this will then look at, over the next 7 days, when have we got high or moderate risks of infection during those next 7 days. So we've tried to make it very simple to view. And as we build more diseases into this, you can scroll down and see those different diseases.
Um,
What then?
Actually, on that, Tim, we
Yep,
have got several questions for, yeah, what other crops we might be looking at in terms of the disease
yep.
previously.
Well, definitely canola. Canola is one that lots of people want help with. And obviously there's a number of pulse diseases that are very important as well. So yeah, it's something we want to build out over time, but we want to make sure we test this first and get it out that is actually giving you good information and not either over or under alerting you. You don't want a million alerts a day, but you also want to make sure that it is giving you those sort of high risk alerts. Then like I said before, we'll look at what's the next 7 days look like in terms of, ideal spraying conditions. So we've taken all of the research around that. A lot of that's, I guess, based on summer sprays, in terms of drift management. But again, it does help trying to determine over the next 7 days when you do have good spray windows. So it's also not just the day, but the times of day that might be most suitable. Again, this is just looking forward. You clearly need to be looking at the conditions as you're spraying. That goes without saying, of course, but this is trying to help you plan forward. Right, I've got a disease risk on Saturday. What's the chances of me getting into the paddock before Saturday? So, that's the kind of thing we're trying to do, is help that instantaneous planning. Any more questions, Jess? All right? All good?
No, all good.
Yeah, so any feedback on this, absolutely much appreciated. This is going to be a beta test, obviously. So if you say, look, it's over alerting everything, let us know. If it's missing bits, let us know and we can dig into it. So please, we love some feedback as this rolls out to make sure we're on the money.
Um, Actually, we've got a question from Kent. Where does the weather data come from?
We've got um, I guess, a global access to a weather, weather, they call it, an online weather service. It's has been manipulated for Australia. We were working with another provider, but unfortunately they no longer offering the service. So, but yeah, it will be a locally relevant but also globally scalable sort of weather tool. we can probably, to your point, we're not logging into the closest weather station or anything like that, because obviously most of them are actually just current or previous conditions, not the next 7 days. So we certainly are looking at making sure that that's good. But keep in mind, this is for actually at a farm level, right? So we're actually giving you the spray window for your farm, because we know where your farm is because you've already put the boundaries in. So it's very, very farm specific. And the farm name is actually at the top. I've graded out on this one, but it'll tell you the farm name at the top, so you know which farm it's related to. Obviously, each farm's going to have different disease risk as well, um, different spray windows. And at the moment, you can just select between barley and wheat, but in time, we'll detect whether you've actually put barley or wheat in your drop-down list or your other crops, and it'll give you very much specific disease risk for your crops that you've got growing. So we're working on that integration, so feeding off the data you're already putting in. Um, just finally on prescription maps. So again, we've been talking to a lot of customers about this, and there's sort of a bit of a feeling, and I guess this has been around since the dawn of time, right? Like when we first started doing prescription mapping 25 years ago, people were thinking that we had to get a perfect map to do it. I need 5 years of data before I make any decisions about zones. I really don't think that that's necessary. I think we can be reactive. We can see an image and respond to it. Obviously, ground truthing is critically important, but doing something is better than a perfect prescription map never applied, if that makes sense. Like you could spend your whole life over analyzing it. And I think we just got to get on and do something simple. And that way you're also learning about the process and how it works, and it's the starting of that different thinking from a paddock to a zone is a big step for to get your head around that. So I think that's the message, and that's why we've built the simple zoning tool. It's not building the perfect zone map, but it's responding to something you're seeing right now. You set your rates for each zone, and it will tell you how much you need to apply. And then those files come out as a shape file, which can be loaded directly into your machine. Now, obviously, with the advent of all of the online tools like Operations Center, Field Ops, etc., then you you're able to push that directly to the machine, Trimbles as well. So there's a really good opportunity to have that completely hands-free, do it from your desktop pretty much. So where do you find this? It's again, we kept our application fairly simple: farms, fields, layers, and then I want to create a prescription map. It will then jump you into this screen where you can select what you want to create a prescription map from. Obviously, during this season, we will be doing it mostly from your imagery. So you just select standard resolution imagery and then maybe NDVI. Or if you're looking at nitrogen, then I'd much prefer NDRE as your algorithm that you put into here. That's available on a advanced subscription as well. So, but we've also now got the ability to put, if you click on that drop down, you'll have yield, EM, high resolution. You have all the different layers. So you can be zoning now off whatever layer you like. And in the future, we might look at combining some of those layers. But right now, I think picking one of those layers, you then pick the date that you want to zone off. And you can then, once you've done that, select through and say, look, I just want to create 3 zones at 50 meters. So if you're like just doing a normal spreading operation for nitrogen in crop, then I would be picking something like that just to keep it simple. You can select more zones and maybe have the same rate, and zone 1 and zone 2, you might have the same rate. Doesn't mean you have to have different rates in different zones. You can have split it up into different zones and put the same rate, for example, or zone 4 and 5, for example. So, but most people, 3 zones is normal, fairly typical. The resolution thing is like, how coarse do you want it? If you want to go down to very, very fine levels with a sprayer, well, then you might pick 5 meters. But if it's just a spreader, 50 meters is nicely smoothed out, so the spreader's not changing rates rapidly. Aeroplane might be more like 100 meters or draw your own one, for example. We've got lots of people in the rice and cotton industries that do aerial applications, and they draw their own zones. And there's a just down the bottom of there is like draw your own. So you can scroll down and you can just cut the paddock up into your own zones, add your rates, and away you go. The next screen, once you hit next, this is where you put your rates in. The other little cool feature we've put in here is a little paintbrush. So you can pick the paintbrush up for that rate and go and paint polygons in here with different rates. So if you do find yourself saying, look, that bottom end of the paddock, that's a different factor. I'll still want to put, 100 kilos on that. Well, I can go and click my paintbrush and fill in those polygons. You'll note here too that it tells you the total product needed. So you can say, well, there's 11.8 tons needed of product at these rates on those hectares. So it calculates that for you. That way you can actually then work out how much products need to be left at the edge of the field. We've also had a lot of growers this year being limited supply of urea. They've actually we've done the whole farm at once. So if you are on an advanced subscription or pro subscription, you can do the whole, say you want to do all your wheat paddocks at once. You select all your paddocks, zone it up, put the rates in, and you can then juggle your rates to suit your overall supply. Say you've got, 200 tons and I want to get, I've only got 200 tons of product, juggle my rates around to meet that total amount of product. So that's pretty handy as well. Again, if you have any issues with this, just email support@datafarming.com.au, or our phone number gets through to Jess and I as well. So feel free to ring us or send us an email and we'll help you out straight away. Welcome any questions. Yeah, feel free to ask. If you do want to book a call with Jess or myself, just feel free to jump on. You can scan the QR code there, and that'll inundate Jess's calendar with bookings. But we're more than happy to give you a demo, walk through things, help you with any challenges you might have, any glitches, getting it into the machines. We're certainly happy to help with that as well. So yeah, welcome any questions.
Yeah, and as part of the calls that we're kind of running at the moment, we're really keen to hear what people want in the platform next. So we're doing a bit of survey on that. So if you have features that you want, definitely book in because we want to hear from you. We've got a question, Tim, from John Midwood. Um, if you can explain how Messium will feature in the data farming site.
Yeah, we've been talking to Messium over the last couple of years and helping with some of the data collection. So yeah, we're working towards how we might put that together. Still hasn't been finalised yet, but yeah, I guess watch this space.
And then we've got a question probably around the disease, but could disease alerting be applicable to flower diseases in a macadamia orchard, which is not something we've potentially looked at, but
Yeah, I think there's the way we've done this is you look at the criteria of the infection. So what are the key factors that lead to infection? So is it leaf wetness? Is it and obviously leaf wetness is a big part of this, but is there other factors like rainfall incidence or temperature is obviously another big player. So what are the criteria that lead to that disease? So if we know that those criteria, then we can certainly build the disease alerting around that. That's what we've done. We've just come up with those criteria that trigger that alarm, the alert, if you like. And it's like it's like it's not a yes no sort of thing. Are you going to get infection or not? It's how likely are those conditions going to lead to an infection? That's what we've built. So it's not a cliff face type thing, yes or no. It's how likely is something going to happen based on those set criteria. So in theory, if you have those criteria, you can um, absolutely build a model around that. I should just jump back to Messium as well. Messium are a UK-based business. They have a presence here in Australia. They are using hyperspectral satellite imagery to determine nitrogen rates. So, yeah, very interesting technology, and they've done a lot of testing in Australia, like I said before. So, yeah, it's keen to see where this technology goes.
Um, yeah, and then for disease risk assessment, what sort of additional data are we using to predict disease incident, like pathogen load?
And so we we are in conversation with Bioscout, but at the moment we're not getting pathogen load. So one thing, this is only taking into account the 1/3 of the triangle. So, if a disease triangle is, you need the pathogen present, you need the right conditions, and you need the right crop and a susceptible variety for a disease outbreak to occur. So we're only taking into account one of those, the 3 points of the triangle at the moment. Um, but it's interesting to see where Bioscout go, whether we can integrate with them as well. There's been some interesting results around that I heard last week in Tasmania. But yeah, what we're doing first is giving you a heads up. Is there likely to be a disease infection opportunity? If you say, oh, yeah, there's a high risk, however, I have already sprayed or I have a tolerant variety, then you're covering off on that risk, if that makes sense. So in time, we'll be gathering that type of information to help assess. I should have mentioned too, just sorry, if we go back to that, if once you select that down the bottom there, you can scroll to the bottom of the spray window list. It'll say, oh, I want to spray or I want to learn more. It will then go through and tell you a lot more information about the disease you've selected. So to help you, understand and plan for that disease, what to look out for, that kind of thing. So we're trying to help through that process, I guess, of decision making.
And we've got a question from Chris. If we have a network of weather stations through Hort Plus in NZ, could we API their weather data into the platform?
Yeah, it's something we've certainly looked at. I guess the thing about a lot of the weather stations is not giving you the forward predictions, so it's only the current conditions. But yeah, building API to those things is fairly straightforward now. So I think that's certainly something we want to look at in the future. And there's lots of networks across Australia as well that provide really good data. And I guess just for the predictions, though, it's still going to need some kind of global weather prediction modeling to actually do